Hi everyone. Lately in A Course in Miracles, the emphasis in the lessons that we're doing now, which are the 60s, is on light and function. Like, what's your function here, right? Being here on Earth, unless you are in awakening process, and if you're watching this video, you must be, right? You don't know what your function is. You just find yourself here, and you're just kind of in the dark, right? You can't remember, so you just do whatever you do, and try to, you know, be happy and try to do something that seems to, you know, makes has some kind of meaning to you. But the fact of the matter is, unless you remember, you seem to have no function. But these lessons so specifically emphasize that you do have a function. You have a function here on earth, and your function is one of forgiveness. Your function is to be the light of the world. Your function is to be happy. Your function is to remember who you are. And those are all the same function. Those are not different functions. Right? So the purpose here is to fulfill your function. And the reason why it takes a moment to remember what your function is the veil. Right? You can't remember because of the veil. But remember that the veil is something that's being kept in place by you. It is the whole purpose of A Course in Miracles is to have the veil lifted through your forgiveness. And once the veil is lifted, you remember. And you remember before time was and after time is over. You remember everything from outside this frame reference, right? Outside this reference of time and space, right? So, um, and the action of mind that brings that about is forgiveness, right? Through your forgiveness, you remember. Through your forgiveness, the veil will be lifted. But until you do, you don't remember, right? So many young minds that come in at this point in time look around this world and everything seems senseless, everything seems meaningless. What am I doing here, right? And no matter what I do, there seems to be no purpose in it, and the result is going to be the same. And they're right, the way they're looking at the world, right? Because the world, the purpose of the world, as he so aptly points out, is to make you forget your function, is to make you forget who you are, right? So unless you remember, it will be meaningless. But you can let yourself be shown what the purpose of the world is. You can remember, right? And there's another way of looking at the world, and that's through forgiveness. And once you do that, and once you remember what your purpose is, correct, then that will be what you'll be doing here. Because once you realize what your function is, and once you also realize, again, he points this out so clearly in these lessons in the 60s, is that your happiness and function are one. Right? Your happiness and your function are one. They're the same thing. That unless you fulfill your function, you won't be happy. Because that's what you came here for. You said yes to this. I don't know whether you remember that, whether you're aware of that, but this is not something that's just thrown at you. You agreed to come here. You agreed to fulfill your function. And then you're here and you don't remember because of the veil. Now the veil is being lifted in your spiritual transformation, and you go like, oh, wait a minute, I remember now. I came here to fulfill my function. I remember I said yes to this. Many of you are having those experiences where you suddenly remember, and it doesn't matter how you got to it, whether it was through a crossover experience or whether it was to a spiritual, transformational experience that showed this to you, or whatever God is about in you. Mm. It's the fact that you remember and that you said yes to this, and this is not a coincidence that you're here. You chose to come here. This was your decision, and you had everything to say about what's happening to you, right? This is not just happening haphazard, right? What if you knew that everything that's happening to you is planned by one whose only purpose is your good? Right there, you're not randomly here in time and space. Everything that's happening to you is planned. It's part of a plan to awaken you, to contribute to the awakening of God's Son, of consciousness, of human minds. So yeah, no, you have a purpose. You have a very specific purpose here in space time, and your role specifically in the greater plan does not look like someone else's role. It's very specific to you. The overall plan is the same, but the specifics of each awakening journey in space time is different. Yours doesn't look specifically like anyone else's. Don't make it look like anyone else's. You have a specific role to fulfill. And fulfilling that role will make you indescribably happy. And that's once you realize that your function and your happiness are one, and that you're here on earth, right, to fulfill that function, you're about it, right? This is why many of us teach spiritual courses. Why many of us do these videos or go out and teach. And no matter whether you're teaching a course in miracles, no matter whether you're teaching something else, there's finally only one universal course in awakening, and it takes different forms. And my preference is A Course in Miracles, simply because I know its source, right? I know the source of A Course in Miracles, and that mind, Jesus' mind from out of time. Um, that particular type of teaching is perfect for me. It's fast, it's practical, it's to the point. Um, yeah, it's a no compromise teaching. Um, but again, maybe that's not for you. It doesn't matter. There's finally only one universal course, and no matter how you'll teach it, no matter how you'll learn it, you'll get to it. Yeah. So that's personal. Just as your own specific awakening story will be personal, and just as your specific plan is personal, but the overall plan, right, the overall goal is exactly the same. So read these lessons in the 60s, starting with lesson 64, Let Me Not Forget My Function, and several of these lessons after that. They talk specifically about your function. And again, don't worry if you don't remember it, but maybe it'll ring a bell. Maybe this makes sense to you, but you can remember. And again, the action of mind of remembering is forgiveness. Because that happens to be your function as well. So, yeah, just know you're not here just at random. You're not here just to fulfill some meaningless interval from birth to death and somehow get by and do the best you can. And yeah, it's all meaningless, but I'm going to have to do it anyway. That's not how this is at all. You actually have a function here. And now maybe is the time, because you're listening to this video, clearly that cannot be a coincidence again, right? To remember and to fulfill your function in whatever way is meant for you. I I can't tell you what that specifically looks like for you, um, because I don't know, right? I know what it looks like for me, and this is what it looks like for me, right? But you'll have another form that it will take, but it doesn't matter. The form is meaningless. What matters is the content. I love you. I hope you have a great, great day wherever and whenever you are. And I'll see you out there.